One of NASCAR's biggest legends just got called a stupid redneck by the sport's own commissioner, and now he's fighting back with lawyers. Richard Childress has been in NASCAR since 1969. That's over 50 years of racing. He won 6 championships with Dale Earnhardt, one of the greatest drivers ever. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's basically NASCAR royalty. So when private text messages came out showing NASCAR's top boss trash-talking him, people were shocked. Here's what happened. These text messages got leaked as part of a big lawsuit happening right now. 2 teams, 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports, are suing NASCAR. They say NASCAR acts like a monopoly and treats teams unfairly. During the court process, a bunch of private texts between NASCAR executives got released to the public, and boy, were they bad. The texts are from August 2023. NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps was texting with Brian Herbst, who's the chief media officer. They were talking about Richard Childress after he did a radio interview. In that interview, Childress complained about how expensive the new race cars are and questioned who really benefits from NASCAR's new TV deal. Phelps was not happy. In his text, he said Childress needs to be taken out back and flogged. He called him a stupid redneck who owes his entire fortune to NASCAR. Then he called Childress an idiot multiple times. He wrote, "Childress is an idiot," and "if they don't like the sport, sell your charter and get out." Then just to make sure his point was clear, he added, "Did I mention that Childress is an idiot?" But Phelps wasn't done. In another message, he said, "If he's that angry, sign your charter extension and sell. He's not smart, is a dinosaur, and a malcontent. Total ass clown." Brian Herbst agreed with everything. He responded, "Just listen to the hit. He is an idiot. So many false claims and disingenuous statements." These weren't just casual insults. These were NASCAR's top leaders talking about one of their most important team owners like he was garbage. On Monday, Richard Childress Racing released an official statement, and they didn't hold back. The statement said, "RCR and Richard Childress are deeply disappointed by the insensitive and defamatory statements made about Mr. Childress in recently surfaced text messages between NASCAR executives Steve Phelps and Brian Herbst." They continued, "These comments reflect the way certain NASCAR executives have historically viewed and treated many team owners like Mr. Childress, who have devoted their lives to strengthening the sport for its fans, its sponsors, and all who compete in it." Then came the big part. The statement said, "Legal action is being contemplated and discussed with legal counsel." That means Childress might sue NASCAR over these texts. This would be a separate lawsuit from the big antitrust case already happening. So what made Phelps so angry in the first place? It was a radio interview Childress did on Sirius XM NASCAR radio. He was talking about the next-gen car, which is what teams race now. The next-gen car was supposed to save teams money, but Childress said it actually costs way more than the old cars. He told the radio show, "It is way more expensive than any of us could have ever imagined. I think I could own 14 of the old cars for what these 7 are costing. That's a huge difference." He also said he complained to NASCAR about the costs, but they didn't really listen to him. Then the radio host asked if NASCAR's new TV deal could be good news. Childress gave a short answer that said everything. He said, "For who? I'll leave it at that." That question hit hard. NASCAR just signed a TV deal worth $7 billion. But Childress was basically saying the teams don't really benefit from it. That's the whole problem at the heart of the big lawsuit. These texts came out at the worst possible time for NASCAR. The trial against 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports starts December 1st. That's less than a week away from when the texts were released. And now they have another angry team owner threatening to sue them. NASCAR tried to get ahead of this. Steve Phelps called Richard Childress a few weeks ago. He told Childress the texts were about to come out. He said the comments didn't reflect how he really feels, but that apology doesn't seem to have worked. Childress is still considering legal action. The leaked texts also showed other problems inside NASCAR. There were messages about the SRX series, which was a small racing series that ran from 2021 to 2023. Some NASCAR drivers competed in it, and NASCAR executives were really mad about that. When they found out Denny Hamlin was racing in SRX, Steve O'Donnell texted Steve Phelps saying, "Enough. We need legal to take a shot at this." Phelps responded, "These guys are just plain stupid. Need to put a knife in this trash series, and the whole situation is messy. And it gets worse when you think about what Richard Childress means to NASCAR. He's 80 years old. He's been racing since before Steve Phelps was even born. He won 6 championships with Dale Earnhardt in the 80s and 90s. They basically defined NASCAR for an entire generation of fans. Childress also represents the kind of person NASCAR was built on. He came from a humble background. He worked his way up through hard work. NASCAR used to celebrate people like him. Now their own commissioner is calling him a stupid redneck. Some people noticed something interesting. After the Austin Dillon penalty at Richmond last year and the Austin Hill penalty this year, Childress said he was just a dumb redneck when reporters asked if the penalties felt personal. It looks like he already knew what NASCAR executives were saying about him behind his back. Former NASCAR driver Kenny Wallace had some advice for how NASCAR could fix this mess. He said this on his YouTube show. First thing you have to do is get on your jet and fly up to Welcome, North Carolina and get a meeting with Richard Childress. And it would probably be best if our leader, Jim France, did that. Then while you're at it, bring along Steve Phelps. You're also going to have to do all this in front of the cameras.
First thing you got to do is get on your jet and fly up to Welcome, North Carolina and get a meeting with Richard Childress. And it'd probably be best if our leader, Jim France, would do that. It starts at the very top. And then while you're at it, Jim, you're a good guy. You're always good to me. You might want to bring along Steve Phelps. Oh, yeah. Bring along Steve O'Donnell and have a little meeting. But then you're also going to have to do all this in front of the cameras. Oh, yeah, because we've made mistakes in the past.
Wallace is saying NASCAR needs to publicly apologize and make things right. Not just a private phone call. A real public apology where everyone can see it. The big trial starts December 1st. A judge already ruled that NASCAR controls the market for premier stock car racing. That's a huge win for the two teams suing them. Now we're going to see if NASCAR broke antitrust laws by how they run the sport. And on top of everything else, Richard Childress might file his own separate lawsuit over these text messages. NASCAR is already fighting a huge antitrust case with 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports. Now, they might have to deal with another lawsuit from one of their most legendary team owners. NASCAR is getting hit from every direction with legal problems. At the end of the day, this whole situation comes down to one simple thing: respect. Richard Childress didn't just show up to NASCAR yesterday. He's been here for over 50 years. He worked with Dale Earnhardt to win 6 championships. Those weren't just wins. Those were moments that made NASCAR what it is today. Childress helped make NASCAR billions of dollars. He filled seats at racetracks. He gave fans some of the greatest racing memories they'll ever have. And how does NASCAR thank him? Their commissioner called him a stupid redneck who needs to be flogged. This isn't just an insult to Richard Childress personally. It's way bigger than that. When Phelps calls Childress a redneck like it's a bad thing, he's insulting millions of fans who see themselves in Childress. NASCAR was built by regular folks who worked hard and loved racing. He's saying that the very people who made NASCAR great aren't good enough anymore.